welcome you to Case Arena here in Frankfort, Indiana tonight on the ISC Sports Network in cooperation with Hot Dog TV. It's a Clinton County battle, IHSAA Volleyball, as the Frankfort Hot Dogs play host to the Clinton Prairie Gophers. I'm Sean Walker, joined by Laura Archibald tonight. We'll be calling the action for you here this evening. Laura, these are two teams that both you and I have seen a handful of times this season, and really they're both right in that same ballpark, right around 500 with their records.
They are. I think Frankfort's playing with a true 500 record. Clinton Prairie, I think, is a different team. They've had some changes in coaching, some changes in their roster, and they're playing better than a 500 team at this point in the season. We
got to see the Gophers on Tuesday night against Central Catholic. Obviously, the defending state champion came in. They were a formidable opponent. But you mentioned during that broadcast, you and John Herrick, you mentioned that the blocking and the rotation for Clinton Prairie had gotten so much better in such a short period of time.
Yeah, they really have improved in just a couple weeks. And there's still areas to work on, don't get me wrong, but I can tell that Stacy Swan has worked with this Gopher team, and I saw vast improvements in short amount of time. And I think if they continue to improve at the pace that they have improved in the last 2 weeks, that they will definitely be a team to be reckoned with come sectional time.
Both of these teams tonight will rely heavily on their senior leadership. And where they're a little eerily similar is on one side, you've got Sydney Swan for the Clinton Prairie Gophers, who leads the team in kills with 269 coming in on the season. And on the other side, it's Macy Starrett for the Hot Dogs, who has relied on heavily, 275 kills for her. So look at those two girls to really be featured throughout the offense tonight.
Yeah, those are definitely the go-to players for both of these teams. They're seniors, they're leaders, they're the go-to players, and when either team gets in trouble, that's where these teams go to, whether those players are in the front row or the back row, and that's something to watch out for. They will attack with those players out of the front or back row.
For these Hot Dogs, it's a team that is 11-12 on the season overall, just one game under 500. But it's a team that's played pretty well over their last 10, where they are 6-4 in their last 10 matches.
Yeah, I think they've improved a lot. They started young. They have a freshman setter. So anytime you're playing with a freshman setter, there's going to be a learning curve and some getting used to that. And I think she's done a really good job. She's definitely improved as the season has went on, and they're playing better volleyball as late.
Speaking of their freshman setter, it's Jalen Smith, 406 assists on the season so far. She also leads the team from the serving line with 26 aces on the season. So the freshman is not playing much like a freshman anymore.
She really doesn't. And she didn't even at the beginning of the season. It was just really more that thing of the hitters getting used to her and her sets, and she really was a good leader at the beginning, really has led them in serving since the beginning of the season. I was impressed from the beginning with her serving. She's doing a great job for a freshman, hasn't played like a freshman since the beginning, but certainly they have found their rhythm with the hitters, and I think they're doing a much better job, like you said, have really played much better these last 6 games or so.
Starting tonight for the Frankfort Hot Dogs will be Macy Starrett, Jalen Smith, Emma Pillion, Erica Stevenson, the freshman Brooklyn Perry, and Justine Thomas. On the other side for the Gophers, it'll be Abby Swan who will start things off. We'll tell you about the rest of the Gophers in their starting lineup after this first point. Nice tip across there by Perry. Sydney Swan from the back row, just send it across, keep it in play. Just outside that attack line from the back row that time was Starrett. Already we're saying Starrett and Swan quite often. You're going to hear those two names a lot tonight, especially because you have Abby and Sydney for the Gophers. First point goes to Frankfort.
Yeah, and if you noticed, I talked about before the game started that they'll go to Starrett, front row or back. Their first 2 sets of the game, Starrett, back row.
In the starting lineup tonight for the Gophers, it'll be Evie Brooks, the junior, gets the nod tonight. Sydney Swan, Abby Swan, Caitlin Beck is out there. We also have Hailey Wilson, who's wearing number 5 tonight just to keep us on our toes. And number 7, Haven Wilson. So 2 Swans and 2 Wilsons in the starting lineup.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look back and see, but I don't know that Clinton Prairie started the same lineup any single match this year. If they have, it hasn't been many.
Interim head coach Stacy Swan mixing things up, trying to find that gel, trying to find that right combination of players on the floor. Frankfort right now to a 2-1 lead.
And really, you know what? She has until sectional time to figure it out. And so you might as well mix it up and figure out what works best for your team. And she's trying something else a little bit different tonight than she did against Catholic.
Number 13, Ella McAtee checks into the game for the Hot Dogs. Brooklyn Perry on the serve. Gophers just try to keep this one in play. Nice diving effort from Perry. Set by Swan. Swing by older sister Swan. It's a point for the Gophers. All knotted up at 2 apiece.
We saw Sydney Swan go almost exclusively line the other night against Central Catholic. It was very successful against Central Catholic. We'll see if she continues that trend tonight.
See the libero for Frankfort into the game. That is Ashley Zing. Where's number 4? In the gray colored jersey for Frankfort. Swan, big swing again. Goes back row that time. Attacking Morgan Harrington. So both teams making some substitutions early. We're 5 points in, and we've seen 9, 10 different girls on the floor.
We have.
Actually, I guess that would be 13, 14, 15, 16. My math's really bad.
9 on each side, right?
9 on each side. There you go.
I knew what you meant.
Haven Wilson back to serve. Is now the time where I say I went to Frankfort? I'm not trying to slight them. I'm just not very good at math.
I went to Prairie. I'll add it up for you, Sean.
There you go. Thank you. 4-3 in favor of the Gophers. Emma Pillion on the serve. Knuckleball serve drops in right on that back line. The ace there from the senior.
Great placement on that serve.
You talked about these Gophers being at 500 right now. You said it's a much different team. But I think the record that you really got to look at for them is their conference. 4-0. Right there in setting up for that match with Rossville that you and I will have next week.
Yeah, early in the season, before the coaching change, I would have hands down said Rossville was the favorite, but I think that is going to be an amazing match, and it'll definitely be one to watch. I'm glad we'll get to be there for that one. I think it'll be a very good match, very competitive.
Swan, big swing, dug out by Zing. The set back to Swan again, and that might have been just wider to get a touch. It's wide. Point for Frankfort. They rattled off 3 straight.
It'll be interesting. It'll be a tale of 2 different teams, Rossville and Prairie. Rossville, great defensive team, pretty solid, very few unforced errors, but not a lot of offensive power. Clinton Prairie, definitely more offensive power, but a lot more unforced errors, and definitely not the defensive team that Rossville is.
6-5 now your score is Clinton Prairie is able to stop that run. Substitution now is Kaylee Wall comes in to serve. One of the 2 mid-season additions that joined this Gopher team. Her and Claire Eckenbarger, we'll see both of them play tonight. Wall on the serve. Smith with the set. Stair just plays it across. Abby Swan comes up, just a miss hit there, gives a point back to Frankfort. Senior Avery Brooks in that front row for the Gophers as well.
Yes, we're just seeing a completely different lineup tonight for the Gophers.
Stair sends it across. Nice tap across from Swan. You said this the other night, and it's so true. Her vision is just really amazing. A lot of players, I would think at this age, are so focused and concentrating on the ball that you just want to get good contact on it. But she is looking where she wants to put it before she ever even goes up to hit it.
She is. There's 2 things that make Sydney Swan so effective. Vision through the net. She looks through the net. She finds her hole, and she doesn't telegraph what she's going to do. She has the same arm swing, whether she's going to hit the ball hard, if she's going to roll shot or she's going to tip. She does not give up what she's going to do. Those two things make her very deceptive, and she is excellent at what she does. It's what makes her so effective.
8-7 now, Prairie. A great diving effort a moment ago there from Emma Pillion. Keep it alive momentarily for Frankfort. That one in between two players, just a little miscommunication.
If you went back at Sydney Swan's statistics, I would venture to say 50% of her kills are off roll shots and tips. Not that she can't hammer the ball, because she can, but she doesn't have to, because she has that excellent vision to find the hole on the other side of the floor.
Wilson will set this one. Walsh resets again. And that time, Abby Swan goes up and swings through the block. 10-7 now as the Gophers trail by 1. They've rattled off 4 straight. Frankfort's going to take a timeout and discuss it here, get a conversation in. This allows us to thank our sponsors tonight in the broadcast. Healthy Communities of Clinton County Coalition was formed in 2006 as a partnership of healthcare providers, service care providers, educators, and community leaders who are interested in addressing issues of health in Clinton County community. Now, over 15 years later, the coalition is still committed to making permanent changes by encouraging policy, systems, and environmental changes with the desire to always make the healthy choice the easy choice. Learn more at healthyclintoncounty.com. And I get to learn more every time that I have you on the broadcast, because that's where you work.
That is where I work.
So tell me a little bit about the backpacks last Tuesday at Prairie Creek.
Yeah, so we had an exhibit called Send Silence Packing there on Monday. It's a suicide prevention campaign that travels all over the nation. We were the only community, not college display in the nation this year, and it was at Prairie Creek Park. We had over 1,500 people come through the display on Monday.
That's awesome. Bringing awareness, kicking the stigma. You guys do so much for mental health and for suicide prevention, and trying to stop teen pregnancy, and you do everything.
We try. Anything preventative health. Anything preventative health. Not everything.
Big swing there from the Gophers. They rattle off another point here out of the timeout. 11-7 the score.
I love that set selection. Pull Abby Swan in there for that 32 right off the middle. You know, you don't usually see her hitting there, and I love that. I don't think the Frankfort blockers were ready for that at all. She had full court to swing at.
Service error that time from Sydney Swan. Gives a point back to the Hot Dogs, trail by 3. And they'll send Ella McAtee to the service line. We've talked all year long when we've covered these Frankfort games. It's a youth movement. Just 3 seniors on this squad. Macy Starrett, Emma Pillion, and Erica Stevenson. And the rest, basically, freshman and sophomore.
Yeah, they do a great job, though, and you see those players growing every single game. They're doing a great job out there. I think the future's bright for Frankfort. Obviously, they'll need to find out how they're going to replace Starrett offensively, but after that, I think the future's bright.
Kind of an in-between play there for Justine Thomas. Great serve, great placement there from Avery Brooks. Frankfort will play it across. Starrett sends it over. Just clears the net. Hailey Wilson. A little dink shot. We got a ball loose on the court. I think that one came in from outside the gym. Well, that was a nice point going back and forth, but they'll stop, they'll reset. Hey, safety.
That's right. A replay better than someone getting hurt.
So 13-8, 5-point lead for the Gophers. That one just out. Good call there. I heard it up here, but I'm not sure where it came from. But somebody alerted them, said out. Hot Dogs let it go. 13-9 now. It's a Frankfort team that is 5-4 versus Clinton Prairie over their last 9 matches. They lost in straight sets last year in 2021, but they defeated Prairie in straight sets in 2020. And usually that's kind of the MO. When I look back through the history, there's not very many 3-1s or 1-3s. It's 3-0, 0-3 a lot in this matchup.
Which you wouldn't expect out of a county rivalry. You know, you expect those to go those long 5-game matches. Nice aggressive play by Hailey Wilson there. Nice to see her being aggressive.
Stare to Smith. Smith goes across quick. Evie Brooks. Pillion to Smith now. They go stare at back row. That one into the net. Point for the Gophers.
Nice job by Caitlin Beck there to stay home on the block.
Beck leads the Gophers in blocking. She had 15 total blocks coming into tonight. Laura, obviously you played at Clinton Prairie back in the day. Tell me about these rivalry matchups like this when you guys would get to play against Frankfort or one of these county teams. Did it give you a little extra energy for the match? It
does. It gives you extra energy, and I always loved to play in Case Arena. You know, it's back then we always played in the main gym at Clinton Prairie, which had the world's lowest ceiling. Yeah. Then you came to Case Arena, which has the highest ceiling, and so there always was that adjustment factor. But it was always like playing in a college gymnasium. It was always a lot of fun, and so it was always a different atmosphere.
It is an 11-2 run right now for the Gophers. They lead this one 17-9. You know, the crazy part is growing up in Frankfort and going to Frankfort. For whatever reason at the time, you took this place for granted. I guess you just didn't know what you had until I was able to get out and venture. And, yes, we went to other gyms. We went to road games. But you just walked in and you watched the game and you never thought about, man, Case Arena is really cool. It wasn't until, like, later they're bringing – Blue Chips came, and you're like, why did Blue Chips come here? What's so great? And now when you get to return, it's just, man, this is really cool gym.
It is a really cool gym. I guess when you went to Clinton Prairie, you knew this was a cool gym. You knew it because we had that tiny gym with that low ceiling and, hit the ball to the ceiling and ceiling tiles come out. We knew this was a cool gym. Sorry you guys didn't realize what you had, but we
everybody else might have. I just might have been naive, I guess.
We knew this was a cool gym.
Perry with a big swing, finds home. Finds some space in the back row there. Frankfort at the point.
And that right there may be the offensive future of Frankfort. That's a freshman there putting that ball down like that. So, the Hot Dogs are going to have to figure out how they replace Stara in the offense, and that might be their answer right there.
Yeah, Brooklyn Perry, the only player on Frankfort's roster listed at 5'9". The next tallest player, setter, Jalen Smith at 5'7".
Yeah, they definitely don't have much height. I mean, 5'9" is not really super tall for a middle anyway, so no. But she does a nice job. She certainly plays taller than 5'9".
Julia Stillwell on the serve, a little knuckleball, sails wide of the court, gives the point back to Frankfort. Ashley Zing will check in, as well as McAtee. She'll spell Thomas here in this rotation. Seven-point lead for the Gophers here in game number 1. Sydney Swan put a little pepper on that one. 19-11. These Gophers, I know you are well aware. You can't talk about Clinton Prairie volleyball without bringing up Connie Garrett. You can't talk about Clinton Prairie girls sports without talking about Connie Garrett,
That's
honestly.
True.
Elected into the Hall of Fame for volleyball and basketball, as well as the Hall of Fame at Franklin College.
She is definitely a legend.
Winning multiple state titles in volleyball. Won in basketball as well.
I had the neat perspective of getting to play with her and coach with her. So, most people got to play with her. They didn't get to play with her and coach with her. So that was definitely
was she as mean and as fiery as she thinks that she was back in the day?
Yes.
Because she'll tell you, I don't think many of the girls liked me.
Yes, she was. She definitely was. If you had the right personality, which I did, I was a very aggressive player, a hard worker, I was a person who could respond to that well. It didn't bother me. But if you were not a person who could take to that well, I can see where it would be hard. But that didn't bother me as a player. So
these Frankfort hot dogs have never tasted state championship victory from the volleyball floor. But they do have 7 sectional championships to their credit. They won 3 straight from 2007 to 2009. They have a single regional championship. That came back in 2001. You see quite a few banners that hang around in Case Arena if you ever get to come here in person. Obviously, state championships in boys basketball. They had 4 of those before 1940. How about that?
Yeah, definite rich history there.
For you hot dog fans, make sure you tune in tomorrow night. We'll have the Western Boone Frankfort broadcast for you here on the ISC Sports Network and Hot Dog TV. 21-14. Sounds like a football score right now.
It does sound like a football score. I think if you're Coach Stacy Swan, one of the things you're going to touch on in between games is cutting down on the unforced serving errors. Lots of unforced serving errors.
Abby Swan into the net that time, gives the point back to Frankfort as they're starting to fight their way back into this one now. Down just 6.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the Gophers, that's mostly been on their unforced errors.
Perry sends it across. Swan there for the dig. Abby Swan on the swing. Starrett able to dig it out. Stevenson sends it across. Good rally from both teams. Swan catches the top part of the net, and Pillion's able to dig it out. Good block at the net by Brooks. Back and forth action, and Swan finds a little dink across the net.
Taking a page out of her sister's playbook there. Was a beautiful, beautiful tip. Very timely.
Potato. You call it a tip. I call it a dink. I'm sure that my dink is not in the phrase book anywhere, but.
Nope, it's fine.
I learned a new phrase this year with roll shot.
Uh-huh.
I've heard both you and Coach Gene Kesterson on our airwaves this year talk about the roll shot. And I'm starting to figure it out.
Never too old to learn.
Never too old to learn.
Nice up.
These Gophers fell in 3 straight sets on Tuesday night on our ISC airwaves against defending state champ Central Catholic. And I want to take a minute to say congratulations to Coach Brad McCarter. He now has 3 state championships as a head coach over at LCC, and that ties him 6th all-time with none other than Connie Garrett.
Yeah, Brad's a good guy, hard-working coach, really has built a legacy at Central Catholic. Good guy.
Definitely young enough that he's got an opportunity to win quite a few more before he hangs it up as well.
Yeah. He's one of those two that I think if you asked him, he'd probably say he's a hard-nosed coach, but I know him off the court, and he's a good guy, nice guy, funny guy, good person, and he cares a lot about his players and as people, not just as players. And he's built a real legacy there, and he will definitely probably go down in the Hall of Fame too.
They go to Stevenson again, does Frankfort. That one just out. Boy, I'd like to see that one again. That was so close to the line.
That is a good example of Clinton Prairie's improvement on blocking. I know they didn't touch that ball, but 2 weeks ago, those blockers would have tracked that set clear outside, but this time they adjusted and came inside, forced that hitter to go around them, which is what forced that ball to be hit out of bounds. So good job by Stacy Swan improving that blocking of the Gopher team.
25-17 is your final after game 1. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more volleyball action on the ISC Sports Network.
The offensive source in this quarter. Prairie, hello, has the first down. Smith tracks it down. Shot at the buzzer. Sideline. He cuts it back. Can he get to the goal line? Stankham looks for his man and fell from the seat of his pants. Makes the grab. Johnson gets by that first wave. Bounces it outside. Johnson into the end zone. Touchdown, Lawrence Central.
Hi there, I'm Jake Query.
And I'm Derek Schultz.
And we do Query and Schultz on ISC Sports Network. And Derek, unlike Ted Lasso, we have a third season.
That's right. Season number 3 right now, iscsportsnetwork.com.
Are they doing a third
You can
season
see
on that show?
Episodes on Comcast 81 as well, Mondays at 7:30. I'm talking about our show, Jake, this beloved show that people tune into every single week. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, so many ways to watch Query and Schultz every Monday, 7:30. Tune in and hang out with us.
And you don't have to be a goldfish. You'll remember everything we say.
I brought you a present. A book.
Follow the adventures of the Ardente Dental team as they fight cavities, gum disease, and create beautiful, healthy smiles.
Inconceivable!
Hello, my name is Dr. Snyder. You cause cavities. Prepare to die.
Inconceivable!
To make your smile look straight and fine, our braces per month are just $1.99.
Inconceivable!
You keep using that word, I do not think it means what you think it means.
Have fun at Ardente Dental.
Finding affordable, quality reproductive health care isn't always easy. Did you know that there is now a family planning and reproductive health clinic in our area that is income-based? Services include Pap tests, breast cancer screenings, pregnancy tests, sexually transmitted infection and HIV testing, same-day birth control placement, filled prescriptions, and free condoms. Services are on an income-based sliding scale. Visit 1234 Rossville Avenue or call 659-6063 for more information or to schedule an appointment. Welcome back to Case Arena IHSAA volleyball action. Clinton County matchup tonight. It's the Gophers, the Hot Dogs, doing work here on the ISC Sports Network, cooperation with Hot Dog TV. Clinton Prairie takes game number 1, 25-17, which was a match really early on. Frankfort was keeping pace with them, but there was that 11-2 run in the middle that Frankfort, they have to find some consistency where that doesn't happen so they can stay in these matches.
Yeah, absolutely. They played well at the beginning, and they really played pretty well at the end. It was just that middle section that they had that letdown. They could be more consistent. I think they have a good chance of winning a game here.
For you Hot Dog fans, again, we said we've got tomorrow night's football action across the network, but we will also have next Tuesday night's volleyball match for Clinton Central. Clinton Central travels to Frankfort to take on the Hot Dogs. That will be a mental health game here, sponsored by the Healthy Communities of Clinton County. John Herrick and Laura Archibald will be on the call for that one here.
Yeah, we're excited about that. We love having our mental health games every year. Volleyball we've been doing for several years now and have picked up some basketball games now, and so it's definitely gaining some momentum. I think Prairie has another starting lineup here for game 2. So
Claire Eckenbarger wearing number 2 tonight.
So we'll see how this one rolls.
First time I've seen her on the floor this evening for the Gophers. I know she's still trying to get into volleyball mode. Started out the season running cross country, and she's doing both. She decided to stick with cross country, but when the coaching change happened, Claire wanted to come back and play volleyball, and they welcomed her with open arms.
Hey, she's a great athlete, and if you can do it, then why not? I played softball and ran track for 4 years in the same seasons, and it's not easy, but I enjoyed doing both, and if you can do it, and you enjoy both, you might as well.
I know Claire's father personally. I work with him every day, and his biggest concern is she's in line as a senior this year to have a big basketball season, and he said, you can do this as long as you promise me you don't get hurt. You've got to have a nice senior year on the basketball floor.
Well, I unfortunately don't think she can make that promise, but
if she's careful enough.
Yeah, and I don't think she's ever been real prone to injury, so.
She is nicknamed the Bear, so she's a little aggressive when it comes to sports.
Yeah.
Frankfort out to a 2-1 start here in game number 2. A much improved start for them here. See if they can keep this momentum rocking for the Hot Dogs. Coach Kia Rushton. Been at the helm here for Frankfort for quite some time. Played at Frankfort back in the day, now back to coach her alma mater.
Kia does a great job. She's been here for a long time now, built a great program, and had really good success here. Some would argue this is a rebuilding year for her, and every coach has those. And, I don't know that anybody thought she'd be close to 500 at this point in the season. So,
for sure.
It definitely speaks volumes about her coaching ability. So she has a young team and is doing a great job with them this year.
She did tell me that I'm not going to be allowed to come back and broadcast any more games if they don't play better when I'm here, because she said every time that I show up, they have like lapses where they just don't play as well as they have been.
Well,
so I apologize if it's literally me. I have no problem stepping aside if the Hot Dogs will play better.
Well, you are here right now, and they're up 5-1.
They're doing great here in game number 2.
That's right.
We're breaking any jinxes we've got. Pillion slaps that one across. Swan now to Brooks. And this one out, 6-1. Hot start here in game number 2 for the Hot Dogs. They got the student section riled up.
I was just about to say, I think Stacy Swan's going to be calling a timeout here.
You know, the Hot Dogs boys soccer team, they're ranked in the state. They've got 1 loss on the season. That came to number 1 ranked West Lafayette the other night by 1 goal. And what was an absolute shootout. And some of those students were over there at the soccer match, and now they've poured over here at the end of Frankfort's conference clinching win. I'm assuming they got the victory earlier. They were up when I saw it. And now they've got a nice little student section.
Yeah, it suddenly got much louder here. So that might help give the Hot Dogs the lift they needed.
Let's thank our friends at Ardente Dental, where they offer high-tech dentistry with a personal touch. Their team are all trained and knowledgeable in many areas of dentistry. They believe strongly in continuing education to provide their patients with the latest technology and techniques. They look forward to providing the highest quality of dentistry achievable not only for you, but for your family and friends as well. Visit ardentedental.com for more information. Ardente Dental, healthy smiles start here. A healthy start here to game number 2 for the Hot Dogs. Gophers taking an early timeout. This swing into the net. It's Evie Brooks with the miss hit. I will say that the Gophers looked decent in game number 1. I wouldn't say they're playing their best volleyball. They got the win. But here in game number 2, definitely look out of sync.
They do look out of sync, and you can't help but wonder a little bit how much all these different lineup changes are affecting them. They look a little unsure of themselves, don't quite look like they know who's going to pass the ball right here. It's an interesting, she's going with a 2-passer configuration here. It's a little dangerous when you have a good server on the other side, and it's not panned out for them the first 8 points of this game. So
substitutions, they took Brooks out. They brought Katie Marcinko in. Got a good pass and a nice swing by Caitlin Beck. Now 8-2 your score. Eckenbarger from the service line, jump serve. Perry throws that one across. That one tipped at the net. Another point for the Gophers. 8-3 now. Volleyball is always one of those games of runs.
It is.
You may see a team score 3-4 in a row, and then side out happens, and the next team gets 2, 3, 4 points in a row.
It is for sure a momentum game. And more so since they went to rally scoring.
McAtee comes in for Thomas. Brooklyn Perry to the service line. Freshman missed some time earlier this season. Was in concussion protocols. Leads the team in blocks and really has played about 22 less sets than anybody else on the team. 24 to be exact.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder what her numbers would look like if she had the same amount of sets.
You see Frankfort a lot of times send that single blocker to the net, and when it's Perry in the front row, she does a good job.
Yeah, she really is a good blocker, especially for a freshman. And like you said, they do a single block so very often in the front row, which I don't know is a bad call given the height of their team. I don't know how effective putting 2 blockers really up is for them. So putting 5 defenders back and a single blocker probably works best for them.
9-4 your score here from Case Arena. Haven Wilson on the serve. Little strong. Had enough sauce on it there. Harrington has trouble making the play.
Haven Wilson's always been a strong server. I remember her as young as 5th grade being able to serve overhand from the end of the gym and serve it out of bounds still. So always been a strong server. Definitely has it under better control now, and it's definitely one of the strong suits of her game.
9-6 as Wilson rattles off 2 in a row. I love the difference in the serves at times. Sometimes you'll see heavy rotation on a ball. Sometimes you'll see some, I would call it global spin, where it's rotating sideways. And sometimes you get that knuckleball where that ball does not spin at all.
Yeah,
and that's all by design, correct?
Correct. That's called a floater. So, and a lot of it has to do with how you hit the ball, but also it has to do with the placement of that air valve, believe it or not. Makes a big difference of how that ball moves in the air. Some of it's contact, some of it's where that air valve is. So it all has, there's a very precise science to it.
Kaylee Wall checks in, and she finds back corner. That one is in. Ace for the Gophers.
That would have been a floater. Those are actually, in my opinion, harder to pass than the hardest top spins are. Top spins, you just have to be low and not really move your arms at all and just have a solid platform. Those floaters, you have to have your arms loose and be able to move with the ball, and they're a lot harder to read. An effective floater, in my opinion, is the hardest ball there is to pass.
Great shot to the back corner that time for Frankfort. They push this lead back out to 3. Substitution now as Stevenson will come back into the game.
The problem with a floater is it also is the lowest percentage serve because they're easy to float out of bounds.
Stared on that serve. Went after Eckenbarger. Good block at the net from Frankfort. McAtee and Pillion combined there. 12-8.
Pillion did a great job staying home there.
For Frankfort not having a lot of height, they've got some good jumping ability.
Yeah, they're very athletic. They really do a nice job.
That one hit the top of the tape. Swan into the net there. McAtee was in position for the block. 13-8 now. Frankfort starting to pull away in game number 2.
You like to see that leadership there from Sydney Swan. She said, that's on me. That's my bad. Really probably a little low of a set for Sydney, but you've got somebody back on the team setting who hasn't been playing, and she took the responsibility for that. Hey, that's on me, and that's the leadership you want to see. That's what your senior leader player does.
For me, and again, I didn't play volleyball. I didn't coach volleyball, but I've definitely called a lot of games over the years, and I don't remember ever seeing a player stand from the ground and hit the ball across as well as Sydney Swan does.
She does a nice job.
From that back row.
Once again, it's that vision. It's not just, people probably hit it as hard as she does, standing and hitting it over, but they don't hit it in the holes like she does. That's the difference. Her vision through the net is some of the best I've ever seen.
Sometimes her flat-footed swings go across with more power than some kills we see from people.
Yep, she has a great arm swing. Her follow-through is fantastic. She has a textbook swing. She does a nice job.
14-10 now. Frankfort leading by 4. Trying to even things up at 1 game apiece are the Hot Dogs. Told you earlier, Frankfort 6-4 over their last 10 matches. They had wins against Park Heritage, Fountain Central. They defeated Clinton Central in a tournament, Attica, North Miami, and Sheridan. Nice little run of games there for Coach Kia Rushton and her Hot Dogs. Just served too long. Back to a 4-point game. Brooks comes back in. Wall checks out. You definitely see Frankfort's confidence a lot. It's grown a lot more here in game 2.
It has, and they've just been way more consistent. It was about mid-game that they really had that slump in game 1, and Prairie went on that long run, but they've really just stayed much more consistent, and it's been Clinton Prairie who's been inconsistent this game.
Swing from Meckenbarger, dug out by Sterrett. Stevenson takes a crack at it. Wilson. Eckenbarger again. Sterrett takes it in the corner. Nice rally here. Good effort from both teams. Smith on the set. They go middle to Perry. Perry finds a hole in the zone. 16-11, 5-point lead for the Hot Dogs.
It was a really nice effort by Abby Swan. Those off blockers for Clinton Prairie, if they're not going to come in the middle and help block, they've got to get off the net and help pick that up.
Hot Dogs get the serve back up 5. Morgan Harrington checked in for him right before the timeout. Coach Stacy Swan wants to talk this over again. It's great because it gives us an opportunity to talk about our sponsors in FiberHawk. Now available, FiberHawk Fiber Internet. Super fast speeds, no more buffering. Perfect for all sizes of business. FiberHawk offers every speed to meet your internet needs. For more on offerings and availability, go to fiberhawk.com or call 765-922-HAWK. Fast, affordable FiberHawk. Want to thank our terrific Hot Dog TV crew here tonight. Working hard behind the scenes to bring this broadcast to you.
They do a great job. That Frankfort student section getting excited, getting the team lifted up over there.
If you're watching on the ISC Sports Network, make sure you head over to Hot Dog TV on the YouTube page as well. There's archived games. There's all kinds of videos and things that the kids create in class. Let's check it out. A point sent across, 4-point game once again as Prairie's able to respond out of the timeout.
Clinton Prairie had a really, really slow start, but they've just chipped away at this lead that the Hot Dogs had 1 or 2 points at a time, and if they didn't panic, you have to give them that, and they're looking much more stable as the match goes on.
A couple of Gophers there on the block. Smith will set Sterrett again. This time Sterrett, big swing, but just a little too strong. It's been nice as the season's gone along, too. I know when we were here game 1, Pete Gasho and I were talking about where's that leadership voice going to come from on the floor from Frankfort, and it is definitely apparent that it's Macy Sterrett now. As the season's progressed, she's become a very good leader on the floor for these Hot Dogs.
She is a great leader, and I really think that Jalen Smith is the other leader.
Yeah.
You know, she really is the floor general out there as the setter, and as a freshman to take that lead and really control that offense, she's done a great job. I remember the first game of the season, she was just kind of setting whoever was yelling at her the loudest, and now you see her looking through, reading offenses, reading blocking patterns, and setting smart. I mean, she's not always setting just whoever's yelling the loudest, and she's really taken some leadership now, and she really is that floor general, and I like to see that, especially out of a freshman.
Strong serve that time sent across, and the Gophers now trail by just 2. So like now, Clinton Prairie trying to come back and steal game 2.
You know, as a coach, you always want your setter to be a floor general, but they aren't always. That doesn't, just because they have beautiful hands doesn't mean they're a good leader. That doesn't always go hand in hand. You want it to, but it doesn't always. But I have to say that I think Jalen Smith is doing a really good job of being a leader and her setting duty. She's doing a great job, especially as a freshman. (17-16). Your score in this ace sent across by Haven Wilson. We got a tied contest. We'll see if Coach Rushton here takes the timeout or lets them play through it. She's going to take that timeout. She was thinking about it there. Do I let them play through it? Do I take my timeout? I think it was a good call on her part.
Tonight's broadcast brought to you in parts by Mulberry Telecommunications, where they currently offer service in Mulberry, Dayton, rural Lafayette, rural Frankfort, and other communities in Clinton and Tippecanoe County, expanding into Clinton County now, or excuse me, Carroll County. I just said Clinton County, where we're taking service out to Piermont, a place called Wildcat Valley, and coming soon to Flora and Bringhurst, Indiana as well. Want to find out if your neighborhood has Mintel fiber or if we're getting ready to build in your neighborhood? Visit mintel.net to get started. Mulberry Telecommunications, it's the best gig in town. $17 What's been the difference here over these last 4 or 5 points that's got the Gophers back in this?
Well, they've really just been chipping away at the hot dog lead, a point or two at a time. And I think we just saw Frankfort start to panic a little bit the last few points. They just need to stay consistent. They've done a good job. They need to have some confidence. You see them rallying together there in the middle of the floor. I think they just need to play as a team. Remember, they have 6 solid players out there. It's not a 1 or 2 man show.
Stair, big swing from the back row. 2 Gophers going after hit 2. Swan puts some pepper on hit 3. Starrett will have a chance now. Got to hustle. Love the effort from Haven Wilson, but a great swing for Macy Starrett gives the Hot Dogs the lead back.
Yeah, and that really was started with an excellent dig from Morgan Harrington. I mean, that was a hard hit, and she passed it perfectly on a dime.
Serve comes across from Jalen Smith. Almost a pancake there as Swan's able to keep it alive. Another good dig from Harrington. They go back to Starrett again. Smith goes Starrett one more time. And this time it pays off. She went near court twice, and on the third opportunity went far court right down the line.
Yeah, she did a great job. Way to mix it up. And I can't say enough about Morgan Harrington in that series. I mean, she just had 3 really excellent digs. And they were on Sydney Swan hits. I mean, those weren't easy hits.
Smith on the serve. Abby did a good job of staying out of the net, but the ball plays wide of the court. 3 straight now for Frankfort. Stacy Swan electing to let the Gophers play through this here. Been a very entertaining game number 2. Misplayed off the serve receive there, and another diving effort from Haven Wilson. Haven, I can promise you, honey, I spent plenty of time diving on this floor. Back in the day, it is not soft.
It is not.
So I applaud the effort.
And nice to see your freshman get an ace at a key point in your game.
21-17. It's amazing how much volleyball really comes down to almost like your serve, receive, and your passing.
It is.
Because if you can get into your offense, it really makes it difficult on the defense to try to play those big kills.
It really is. And I say it all the time. Defense wins games because if you keep taking the ball to the other team, eventually they'll make an error.
21-18, Kaylee Wall checks in and serves too long. 22-18, just 3 points now for Frankfort for trying to steal game number 2 here. We had a very entertaining JV contest right before this. Frankfort took game number 1. Clinton Prairie took game number 2. They went to a game 3, and it was 16-14, a final in game 3.
It was, and we may have another barn burner for the varsity.
The Gophers took that JV match 2-1. Frankfort's looking at tying things up at 1 game apiece here in game number 2. See, I think I can tell Coach Rushton now it's not my fault, right?
I agree. I mean, they're playing fantastic.
Well, on the set, Swan, a standing hit I was talking about. Smith goes to Pillion. Starrett, scrambling move, and the Dogs will keep it alive. What a great effort from Jalen Smith. Sydney Swan that time hammers at home, 23-19. Substitution as Julia Stillwell will come out. Claire Eckenbarger back in. And Sydney Swan goes to the service line.
That's where the blocking killed the Hot Dogs. Sydney Swan just simply hit over that block.
Earlier in the season, this was a spot where we saw the Gophers struggle when Sydney went to the back row. But they found more attacking and offense through that. But here, Frankfort's able to keep the pressure on, 24-19.
They have. I think not having Abby Swan setting all the way around and having Abby in the offense on the front row has been very, very helpful. And now that they have Claire back, that'll help them. And really, Hailey Wilson has come alive on offense as well. So I think Prairie's found some more offensive weapons than just Swan.
This one out. Frankfort's done it. 25-19. Frankfort takes game number 2. We'll take a quick break. Game 3 headed your way from Case Arena here on the ISC Sports Network when we return.
At Defining Looks on Sagamore Parkway North in Lafayette, talk to a specialist and discuss your specific needs for wigs or toppers. Defining Looks is committed to helping anyone experiencing hair loss to lead a normal lifestyle. Our wigs are of the highest quality, allowing us to customize to your personal style. Shop our large selection for your medical, cosmetic, or fashion needs. Confident, bold, and fashionable. Be your own kind of beautiful at Defining Looks. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram.
This is your IHSAA. This is your state. This is your high school. This is your athletic association.
Fans, I'm IHSA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and we're here to make sure that all of this remains yours.
This is your state. This is your community. This is your IHSAA. High school football fans, welcome back to Friday night, to pure spirit, to pure sport. Welcome back to high school football.
Fans, I'm IHSA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and I just want to say, welcome back.
This is Friday night. This is Indiana high school football. This is your IHSAA.
Hi there, I'm Jake Query.
And I'm Derek Schultz.
And we do Query and Schultz on ISC Sports Network. And Derek, unlike Ted Lasso, we have a third season.
That's right. Season number 3 right now, ISCSportsNetwork.com.
Are they doing a third
you can
season
see
on that show?
Episodes on Comcast 81 as well, Mondays at 7:30. I'm talking about our show, Jake, this beloved show that people tune into every single week. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, so many ways to watch Query and Schultz every Monday, 7:30. Tune in and hang out with us.
And you don't have to be a goldfish. You'll remember everything we say.
Welcome back to Case Arena. Game number 3 set to get started here. What's been a back-and-forth matchup. You see the scores there, 25-17. Frankfort responds and takes game 2, 25-19. Laura, what was different for Frankfort there? I mean, I keep putting you on the hot seat, but they played really well in game 2.
They did. Their confidence level. They got out to that big lead, and I think it just boosted their confidence. And even when Clinton Prairie tied it up, they didn't fall apart. They just stayed confident. You know, it was a great timeout by Kia, and she pulled them in, and, you know, they came out of that timeout, and you saw them just gather in the middle of the floor, and they were like, we got this. And they stayed calm. They stayed confident, and they took this game, too. I mean, they were just confident. It was very interesting. Clinton Prairie, on the other hand, looked shaky with that different lineup. And interesting, we got lineup number 3 on the court right now for the Gophers. So,
what do you think Stacy's strategy is with this? Just trying to get a feel for the team? I mean, she's been the coach for the last, 12 matches, but just trying to get a feel before they roll into tournament play here of maybe where.
I think she's not happy with what she's seen yet. She's not found the combination she likes. So she's going to keep trying different things until she figures it out. You know, at some point, somebody will step up to the plate. And obviously she feels like that there are positions where nobody has stepped up and excelled, and she's going to keep trying different combinations until somebody does. And, you know, you like to see players fighting for those positions. You like to see somebody who takes the initiative and says, I want this worse than somebody else, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this starting position and keep it.
Morgan Harrington checks in here for the Hot Dogs to serve as they jump out to a 1-0 lead here in game number 3. And what a win this would be for Frankfort tonight, because as you said earlier on, we know looking down Clinton Prairie's at 10-10, but they've played much better recently than that 10-10 record would indicate. And for Frankfort, if they're able to steal a victory here tonight against a county rival that is probably favored to win this, in my opinion, that's a huge bonus for them.
It is, and I think it does great things for their confidence for the rest of the season. Clinton Prairie, on the other hand, I think it might shake them a little bit. At some point, Coach Swan's going to have to decide on a lineup and stick with it so that they can get some consistency going into tournament time. Obviously, she didn't feel like that times yet, but at some point she'll have to get a lineup and stick with it and get some consistency, because we're not talking she's just changing 1 or 2 positions. I mean, really, she's had 3 players in a consistent position, and every other position on the floor has changed.
3-0 Frankfort. Off to that hot start again. You saw the ace a moment ago from Morgan Harrington. Caitlin Beck, that time it looked like Thomas. Yeah, Thomas tipped it there in the back row.
She did, but if she wouldn't have touched it, that was sailing out of bounds.
Julia Stillwell checks in here for the Gophers. I always love the different hairdos that you see on the floor.
That's very interesting coming from you, Sean.
Well, I'm a girl dad, right? I mean,
you are a girl dad.
I've got two
and you
girls
have a daughter,
myself.
and you have a daughter who does hair. So there you go.
Yeah, and it's always just you look out there and you see so many different pulled up styles. Like you would think it's a ponytail, but every single ponytail on the floor is different right now.
I hadn't noticed, but I'm glad you did.
I think what got me was Stillwell. She's got it looks like ornaments.
Yeah,
I don't like.
It's pretty.
Yeah, reminds me of like Aladdin or something, like Jasmine from Aladdin. All right, I'm gonna quit talking. Billion hit. Go first, try to send it across.
Beautiful hit.
And that one just out.
Oh, I definitely think in bounds.
They're asking here. Well, they rule in favor of Frankfort.
One line judge in, one line judge set out.
Zing will come in for Frankfort. She'll serve. Thomas will come out. McAtee checks back in. 4-3.
Coach Swan definitely not happy with that call. And I have to agree with her on that one.
And in a match like this, 1 point could mean the difference.
Absolutely.
Prairie starting to struggle on that serve receive here. Seen quite a few aces over the last 2 games from the Hot Dogs.
And Frankfurt's serving well. They are. Nice aggressive serving by the Hot Dogs.
That one a little too aggressive that time. Sails long. I noticed that earlier today when I was looking through their stats for Frankfort. There's quite a few aces there spread across the board. I mean, they have 4 or 5 girls with around that 20 ace mark.
Mm-hmm. Another combination here for the Gophers. Now we have Avery Brooks playing middle.
Marcinko, missed time, missed hit.
Interesting. Avery Brooks, definitely undersized to play middle, but a great athletic jumper. And against a small Frankfort team, probably could definitely hold her own. Against a team like Central Catholic the other night, probably not a good choice, but against Frankfort, probably not a bad idea.
One you can get away with.
Yeah.
Brooks sends this across. Smith there for the dig. Pillion set just a little long there for Frankfort to do much with it. Swan gets a good swing, but it's wide of the court. Trying to go to that back corner, sails wide, 7-4 your score. I'll tell you, the difference, too, for these Hot Dogs is when that student section doubled in size and they got a little more loud. I think these girls got fired up.
I have to agree with that. It definitely made a difference.
This one in. Big kill from the Hot Dogs.
I'd like to see the Gophers have better passing. what we haven't seen for a long time from Sydney Swan is a tip or a roll shot, because all of her sets have been really far off the net and she's had to swing away. So if we could get a good pass from the Gophers where she gets a really good set, she may be able to do something different like that with the ball.
Good diving effort from Zing. And this can be 4 hits against the Gophers. Another point for the Hot Dogs, 9-4.
Great defense by Frankfort, but that definitely gave them more trouble than the hard hits that Sydney's been sending over.
Brooks will come out now out of that middle position. They'll bring Eckenbarger back in. 5-point lead for Frankfort. Team that's gained confidence as the match has gone on tonight. Playing like a fine-tuned machine right now. Prairie steals a point back, 9-5.
Yes, and there you go, the tip. That's what I needed to see out of Sydney Swan. Nice pass, good set where she could do anything she wanted with it. Beautiful set there.
You know, we talked earlier and you mentioned, you know, what would be considered by many a rebuilding year for Frankfort, but then you look down and they're 500 on the season or right around it, and you're like, that's impressive, because in a year where you're playing a lot of underclassmen and you're still able to be competitive out there, steal some wins, and stick around 500, that's huge for what the future is going to mean for this Frankfort team.
Absolutely. You know, we have a couple teams in the county that way. Rossville is also a, quote, rebuilding year, and they're doing well. Frankfort's a rebuilding year, and they're sitting at 500 almost. So I think, you know, sometimes being the underdog, not expecting great things, it takes some pressure off of you, and you can just excel at what you're doing.
Right now, that's exactly what the Hot Dogs have done. It looks like they are just playing carefree out there. They're playing loose, and it's definitely benefiting them on the scoreboard right now.
Yeah, and Clinton Prairie is looking very frustrated right now. Coaching staff, players, all looking really frustrated.
You know, over the last few minutes, it was a reference I heard in a movie one time, but the way that it feels right now is it feels like Clinton Prairie is stuck in a little bit of quicksand. And the harder that they're trying to fight out of it, the further they're sinking right now. And they just need to find some positive reinforcement to help pull themselves out of that quicksand.
Yeah, they really do. I think this is a good time where if they pass well, they'll play well. I think you got to go to Sydney Swan as much as you can. And to be honest, as many times as you can get 2 Swans touching a ball out of 3 touches, the better your odds are of getting a side out or a point.
Out of the timeout, we'll see if the words from Coach Swan resonated with these Gophers. They find themselves behind on the scoreboard, 11-5. If you're just tuning in, Clinton Prairie took game number 1, 25-17, and it was really pretty dominating. They had an 11-2 run in the middle. In game number 2, Frankfort came right back out of the gate, opened up a big lead. Gophers came back to tie it, but Frankfort never weathered. They stayed the course, and they won 25-19, and here we are, 11-6 in game 3.
I know Prairie got the point there, but an excellent dig by Macy Starrett.
That one wide of the court. Do you find it maybe I just don't look at enough volleyball stats, but I noticed today that the leading kills leader on both teams also is the leader in digs for both teams, and it's Starrett and Swan.
Yeah, and usually your dig leader is your libero, but for the Gophers and the Hot Dogs, their senior leaders are their best all-around players. And, you know, frankly, on both teams, you'll see those 2 senior leaders step in front of the libero to pass a ball. They are the ringleader. They want the ball. Everybody wants the ball in their hands. They want the ball in their hands, so it doesn't surprise me out of these 2 teams.
Eckenbarger on the serve. 5-point lead for the Hot Dogs. Stevenson on the kill there for Frankfort. Abby Swan, big swing. Starrett tracks it down, and the Hot Dogs will keep it in play. Leads to what you said earlier. Play well enough defense, keep the ball in play, and eventually the other team will make a mistake.
Absolutely, and Frankfort has been playing great defense the last 2 games.
Oh, look at the hustle.
Look at the effort.
Swan sends it across. Once again, Frankfort getting good hands on it. Making playable passes. Chance to run their offense here. They go middle. Brooklyn Perry. Just long. I like the idea from the freshman, though. 12-8.
And I love the energy that Kia Rushton has. You know, they didn't get that point, but she's still excited because of the defense her team is playing. And she knows she didn't see that at the beginning of the year, and she is just excited to see the defensive effort.
At the end of the day, this is a development level of this sport. And if you're a head coach in a position where you start out with this many young underclassmen, you start off the season obviously not playing your best, and you get to towards the end of the season and you look at the vast change your team has made for the better, that is a win.
It is a win, absolutely. If you're getting better as a team and you're developing players, it's a win.
Everybody looking at each other. The call from the corner is out of bounds from that line judge. The up official in the chair agrees. 13-9 Frankfort. Pillion at the service line, and the captain's going to ask for it. The captain from each squad designated before the game when they have the toss to see who will serve first. They're allowed to go talk to the official in the chair, correct?
Correct, and no one else on the court except for the designated captain. If those people come off the floor, they have to appoint another captain on the floor, and those are the only people allowed to talk to the up official.
I love this. It's Swan and Starrett, too, and both are over there listening and having a conversation, and both hustled right back to their spot on the floor and ready to go at each other. I love these county matchups. Speaking of county matchups, we have two of them next week, Tuesday and Thursday. You got to tune back in.
You do.
It's Clinton Central here at Frankfort, mental health game, and then a huge game for what's probably going to be the conference championship between Rossville and Clinton Prairie next Thursday.
Absolutely. Probably my favorite week of volleyball in Clinton County every year. Choose them to be our mental health games for a reason, Sean. Sure. One, we know a lot of people watching the games, but two, the most exciting games there are all year. They always play the same week. County rival. It's always the best week of volleyball in Clinton County every single year.
And they do it right at the end of the year, which is what I love, too, when all the teams should be playing their best, and you're getting ready to head into sectionals, and it just feels like there's a little extra there.
Absolutely.
It means more. 14-11, the Gophers trail by 3. Frankfort really turned it on in game number 2, and they have not looked back since. We were briefly tied in game number 2 at 17 or 18 apiece. But other than that, Frankfort has led all of game 2 and all of game 3.
Interesting. Even when Clinton Prairie scores a point, you don't see the excitement. That concerns me a little bit.
Definitely different body languages right now going on both sides of the floor. Swing from Beck. Nice diving save from Starrett. But that was Hailey Wilson that time. Starrett. Swan. What do we got here?
Double hit.
Double hit. You know something I don't see called as much anymore? They get more lenient on the lift. You don't see that called as often.
So if it's a top spin serve or if it is a hit, they're not going to call a lift.
They're giving them a little bit of the benefit.
They're not going to call a lift on that.
This seems like 4 or 5 years ago that was something you saw called quite often. And
yeah, they've really kind of changed the way they call that about 3 years ago.
2-point game. Stillwell at the service line.
Just like that. When she overhand passed that, 5 years ago they would have called that. But if it's an overhand pass on a top spin serve, they're not going to call that.
Sydney Swan, that one blocked at the net by Perry, but
Perry did her job there, though. That's a single block. She slowed it down, really. That's a defense job to get over there and get that ball up. So Perry did her job by slowing that down.
You can see that she was aggravated with herself a little bit there, but to your point,
she's
in the right place.
One person. It's not a double block up there. It's a single. Her job is to get a hand on and slow it down.
Every time these Gophers get within a point or two, it feels like they have an unforced error. The service error, they hit it into the net. Zing sends it across.
It's probably the best. That's probably the best pass Clinton Prairie's had all game.
Pillion tried to kill that one, sends it into the net, and now a 1-point contest. Avery Brooks comes back in for Frankfort.
That was an interesting set selection there. That one was a little confusing to me. You have Macy Starrett on the front row. You had Sydney Swan blocking out here. I definitely would have went middle or outside on that.
Wilson on the serve. It looked like they were going to put Brooks in. Instead, they bring Eckenbarger in.
And that's exactly why I would have went middle or outside.
Frankfort steals the point here, 17-15. Hot Dogs just keeping the Gophers at that puncher's distance right now. This volleyball team really feeding off that energy from the student section. They brought the pizzazz with them tonight.
They did.
Going out will give the ball back to the Gophers here, 17-16. Kaylee Wall will check in to serve for the Gophers. This serve just a little too long, as we've seen that twice now from Wall, where she's come in and right away commits a service error.
At least twice.
Normally, she's definitely much better from the service line.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised from that. But she, sat out the first half of the season, so maybe a little rusty. Nice angle on that from Sydney Swan. Once again, not a hard hit, a smart hit.
The vision. 18-17. Hailey Wilson, number 5, checks back in. Stillwell checks out. Swan on the jump serve. Gophers trying to tie this up. Frankfort trying to push it back to 2. Swan. Starrett on the dig. They go back to Starrett for the kill. There's the set. They go to Abby Swan this time. And she's able to put enough power on that one to get it past Zing. All tied up at 18. This game's eerily similar to game number 2.
It is.
And we get a timeout in the exact same spot that we had last time as well. And the last time it was 18-all, Coach Rushton took a timeout. The Hot Dogs responded and went on a 7-1 run to win game number 2. This portion of our broadcast tonight brought to us by our friends at Defining Looks Wig, Hair, and Nail Salon, where they can assist you with a wig for your hair loss needs due to COVID-19, any medical conditions such as cancer or age-related thinning hair. They're also certified in toppers, wigs for kids and children with hair loss. Find them at defininglooks.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Located at 311 Sagamore Parkway North in Lafayette. Right over by Party City.
It'll be interesting to see how these teams come out of the timeout this time. We certainly know in Game 2, Frankfort came out of the timeout on fire at 18-18. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond to the timeout this time.
Really almost an identical spot in the rotation, too, because Sydney Swan was serving towards the end of that game.
She was, you're right.
She got kind of caught in that back row, and Frankfort went on the run. 2 players called for it, both backed off. Communication breakdown there. That's the first time we've really seen that all night from both teams, where play could have been made and both players just kind of looked at each other.
Coach Swan definitely not happy about that. And that's one of those things where when you have a lineup changes and people aren't used to playing with each other, they just don't know what to expect from each other. Nice dig.
And Stevenson pushes that one across. Another opportunity here. The Gophers. And Frankfort steals an offensive opportunity. Swing from Swan. Good job by Starrett. Good block at the net. Neither team wanted to give up this point. The dink across, but Smith is there. Then Pillion was looking for help. Frankfort had kind of retreated at that point. Gophers get the point, 19 all.
It's the first really long rally that Prairie's won in a long time.
For sure.
I think they needed that.
Eckenbarger serves that one across for the Gophers. Starrett, big swing. Played well by Clinton Prairie. Big swing from Abby Swan, played well by the Hot Dogs.
Clinton Prairie playing better defense now. Oh, somebody was in the net.
Maybe a missed call there. The block from Clinton Prairie. 20-19 now. Clinton Prairie with their first lead here in game number 3. It's their first lead since game number 1.
It is their first lead since game number 1.
Eckenbarger still serving for the Gophers, and she gets the ace here. Big point. Now if you're Frankfort, you get another timeout here. This is where you got to have that, got to find whatever it is, that fight to get these couple points back. Trailing now by 2 late in game 3.
This is probably Frankfort's weakest rotation for offense, so they got to find a way to get out of this rotation quickly.
I was looking back at my notes that Coach Kia Rushton gave us at the beginning of the year going into game number 1, and her quote was basically, our success is going to depend on how quickly the young players adjust to varsity volleyball action. Well, Coach Rushton, they've done it.
They have.
Yeah, they've definitely. This is not the same team we saw at the beginning of the year. It's
Not
the
even
same
close.
players, but it's not the same team.
No, not even close. What I'd like to see here is Jalen Smith have some confidence and go right to Brooklyn Perry and see Brooklyn have the confidence to put that ball down. That's what I'd like to see. That's what we need out of that freshman combo right here.
Yeah, that's the future, right? When Macy
Right,
Starrett
it
goes
is.
on next year, Brooklyn Perry's going to have to step up into that big hitter role. And there she is, just left it a little short.
Yep, I'd like to see her hit that. I want to see the confidence there.
Brooklyn's definitely built like a volleyball player, like a hitter.
She is, and really, Prairie doesn't have great blocking up there right now. Put her a little closer to the net and let her hit at it.
Gophers lead by 3. Abby Swan gets the point there.
We've talked all night about Sydney Swan, but the end of game 3 here, it has been Abby Swan. It has been the Abby Swan show for about the last 6 points.
This one misplayed between Pillion and Thomas.
And a couple aces by Claire Eckenbarger hasn't hurt either. And really, this is the best we've seen her play since being back.
Yeah, for sure. This is the most we've seen her play, too. I mean, as far as games that we've covered.
Mm-hmm.
She's getting a lot of minutes out there tonight. She gets another ace here. And the Gophers storm back in game 3, 25-19 to get the win. What an entertaining match so far here tonight. We got game 4 headed your way. Stay tuned. You don't want to touch that dial. We'll be right back on the ISC Sports Network.
At Defining Looks on Sagamore Parkway North in Lafayette, talk to a specialist and discuss your specific needs for wigs or toppers. Defining Looks is committed to helping anyone experiencing hair loss to lead a normal lifestyle. Our wigs are of the highest quality, allowing us to customize to your personal style. Shop our large selection for your medical, cosmetic, or fashion needs. Confident, bold, and fashionable. Be your own kind of beautiful at Defining Looks. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram.
Finding affordable, quality reproductive health care isn't always easy. Did you know that there is now a family planning and reproductive health clinic in our area that is income-based? Services include Pap tests, breast cancer screenings, pregnancy tests, sexually transmitted infection and HIV testing, same-day birth control placement, filled prescriptions, and free condoms. Services are on an income-based sliding scale. Visit 1234 Rossville Avenue or call 659-6063 for more information or to schedule an appointment.
I brought you a present. A book.
Follow the adventures of the Ardente Dental team as they fight cavities, gum disease, and create beautiful, healthy smiles.
Inconceivable!
Hello, my name is Dr. Snyder. You cause cavities. Prepare to die.
Inconceivable!
To make your smile look straight and fine, our braces per month are just $1.99.
Inconceivable!
You keep using that word, I do not think it means what you think it means.
Have fun at Ardente Dental.
This is your IHSAA. This is your state. This is your high school. This is your athletic association.
Fans, I'm IHSA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and we're here to make sure that all of this remains yours.
This is your state. This is your community. This is your IHSAA.
Frankfort High School, home of the hot dogs. FHS provides a high-quality education in a newly renovated 282,000 square foot campus. We have 19-plus career pathways offered at FHS, including advanced manufacturing, business administration, engineering, health science, to name a few. FHS offers 10 advanced placement courses and 24-plus dual credit options. FHS boasts a proud tradition of theatrical performances, including 2 plays, a musical, and the local favorite, Big Broadcast. We are Frankfort High School, home of the hot dogs.
Welcome back to Case Arena and what has been an entertaining night of some IHSAA volleyball. Sean Walker, Laura Archibald calling the action for you here this evening. Right now, the Gophers on top of Frankfort 2-1. Glen Prairie won game 1 25-17. Frankfort took game 2 25-19. Game 3 was all Frankfort until Prairie stormed back, tied it at 18, and went on a similar 6-1 run that we saw Frankfort do in game 2. They took game 3, they lead 2-1.
Really, game 2 and game 3 were like a mirror of each other from point 18 on.
I mean, it was eerie.
Yeah. It really, really was.
I'm sure that song's copyrighted, but it's like we were in the Twilight Zone there for a second.
We were. I think it was interesting. I think you have to give Claire Eckenbarger the credit there. 3 aces out of the last 4 points certainly helped the Gophers secure that game 3.
Yeah, Abby Swan kind of sparked it as well there towards the end. Frankfort, though, still first point here in game number 4.
Yeah, Abby Swan and Claire Eckenbarger really turned the burners on for the last 7 points of game 3. They played amazing.
Frankfort may be trailing 2-1, but it doesn't look like they're ready to go away quietly here tonight. The steal, obviously, anybody's match here tonight. Brooklyn Prairie tips one across. 2-0 now, Frankfort.
There was that confidence we were talking about with Jalen Smith and Brooklyn Prairie, and that's what we wanted them to do at the end of that last game.
There's Abby Swan again. She goes down the line. Nobody home for Frankfort. 2-1 now.
You know, I think Abby Swan's underrated because she, one, always that syndrome of playing in your older sister's shadow, but 2, she does the setting duties. She's not a natural setter. She does whatever it takes for her team. She does whatever they need her to do. She's one of those players who literally could play anywhere.
I'll say, I know not the natural setter, but you could fool me because the stats say otherwise.
She really isn't. She sets because she's the best setter for the Gophers. She's the best setter on the Gopher roster, not because she's a natural setter. She could be the libero on this team. She, if it wasn't for her sister, she would be the best hitter on this team. She sets because she's the best setter on the roster, not because she's a natural setter. Any other school, she probably would be an outside hitter that played all the way around or a libero. I mean, she's just a fantastic athlete. And so, you don't always hear as much about her because she is setting. And, setters are those quiet heroes that you don't hear as much about. But if Prairie had a setter come up in the next year or two that was that natural setter, I think every single play you would hear Abby's name.
I said a little off, and Wilson just kind of gave up on it, knowing that it was a tough angle to go get. 4-1.
Yeah, you kind of hate to see that, to be honest.
Yeah.
As a coach, I'd like to see the player dive and doing whatever it takes to get to that. And from the look on Stacy Swan,
she was kind of looking sideways down the line at her.
Yeah,
I think Hailey knew better than to look over at coach after that one, maybe.
Yeah, I think a timeout's coming here.
Yeah, and she's saying get over here now.
She didn't like that effort at all.
Here comes the conversation right away from Coach Swan. Coach Rushton's got to be pleased here. After falling in game number 3, her team has responded once again, and they're fighting right here, 5-1. Hot dogs up.
Yeah, it's amazing. You would not think this team was so young by the fire they're showing, the desire. I mean, it just amazes me. This is not the team that we saw early in the season. You've said it, I've said it, but it just amazes me, the maturity that they are showing. And, it really, you have to credit Kia Rushton. She has led this team to where they are. She has coached them into this level of maturity and teamwork, and she's doing an amazing job. And so much for rebuilding.
Yeah, these are the years that coaches earn their stripes, right? I mean, it's amazing, really, to what you just said, the job that she's done, and credit to the girls too for responding, listening. I don't know if the cameras captured it right there, but in the Frankfort huddle, every eye on coach.
Yep,
tentatively listening. You can tell they're bought in.
Here's the truth. As a coach, and I coached for a lot of years, club and school ball, it's easy to coach teams that have great players. It really is, and experienced players and teams with 6 and 7 seniors. It's tough to coach teams with mostly freshmen and sophomores.
Right.
And you don't have as many athletes. Those are the tough teams, but they also can be the most rewarding teams to coach, to be honest. And this is a team, if I had to guess, has got to be one of the more rewarding teams that Kia's ever coached, because I don't remember in the near past a team that's improved more than any other team like this that she's coached.
That hit a little too strong, and it is now an 8-1 lead.
Nope,
the up official's calling it as a tip. So it's going to be 7-2. The Gophers, I'm going to be honest, I did not see that.
I did not either. I think everybody's flabbergasted.
It was definitely long.
I don't know that anybody was even close.
No benefit of replay for us tonight or the officials, so you have to go off of saying that official's in a chair. He's in a heightened position. Obviously has a good look right down the net, and I would have missed it, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was a line judge call or the up official on his own. I don't know. I missed it from our view.
7-3, Frankfort in the lead. Stare it with the swing. Right through the blocks from the Gophers. Gets the serve back for Frankfort. Zing will check in. Perry comes out. McAtee will come in. Thomas comes out.
There's a piece of the puzzle the Gophers have to figure out, is that right side blocking for sure. We saw it kill them the other night against Central Catholic, and it's killing them again tonight. It looks better, much better, but still not where Coach Swan wants it to be.
So it's across. Swan with the dig. They're going to come back to Swan for the swing.
My guess of why she's tried so many players on that side, she's not satisfied with what she's seeing.
Jalen Smith that time called for being into the net. So the point goes to the Gophers, 9-4 your score. Haven Wilson at the service line. Nice diving effort from Zing. Sydney Swan a little wide, no touch that time. Frankfort awarded the point. That'll send the freshman Jalen Smith back to the service line, who's had an outstanding freshman year. We talked about leading the team in serving, leading the team obviously in passing with the assists. 406 assists coming into this game.
Double hit called there on the Gophers.
Lead back out to 7. This one wide of the court. 6-point lead. Grace Good's going to check in. We haven't seen Grace Good in normal rotation tonight as much as we have earlier in the season either.
We haven't, and Grace is a great server normally for the Gophers, so I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Grace tonight.
And really, before Wall rejoined the squad, Grace was their second setter on the floor.
She was.
Grace comes in. They get the point here, 11-6. They pull back within 5.
And you have to wonder if those Wall serving errors don't have something to do with this change.
Good sends it across. Harrington on the play. Starrett. Wilson just sends it across, and Frankfort will reset. They go back to Starrett again from that attack line. Once again, and that time powers through the 2 blocks of Eckenbarger and Swan. 12-6. Erica Stevenson checks back in for Frankfort. Again, want to thank our fantastic Hot Dog TV crew tonight, bringing you the camera angles, the graphics. Laura and I have the easy job. We just get to talk sports.
Absolutely, and they're doing a great job tonight.
Clinton Prairie hammers that one through. Want to thank Athletic Director Ed Niehaus for always welcoming us and our broadcasts here at Frankfort High School. Bringing you around 40 broadcasts this season. Already this year we've seen volleyball, boys and girls soccer, volleyball.
Football.
Yeah.
It's always good to have the students learning, get some more students going to college for this stuff and having careers in communications.
It is a fun, rewarding job. I will say that. Multiple different levels of it, just like there are in sports. Whether you're covering high school games, small colleges, working for someone like the Big Ten Network, or even like a Tupelo Raycom where you travel all over the United States. There are opportunities out there everywhere.
Love that setting combination. Grace Good with a great set there. To Abby Swan having her hit in the middle. Love that little combination. Really threw the blockers off for Frankfort.
Yeah, Good's play over these last 5 or 6 points has earned her some more playing time on the floor here right now.
And she's done a fantastic job.
Eckenbarger dives. Good on the pass. Swan on the hit. Misplayed by Frankfort. 13-9. This, again, feels very eerily similar to games 2 and 3.
Yeah, really. Other than the first game, it has been very deja vu.
Swan tries to go back corner. Thomas is there.
Beautiful pass by Morgan Harrington, who has played some great defense tonight.
Eckenbarger doing her best Sydney Swan impersonation right there. A little flat-footed hit. Hits it across and then kind of grabs Sydney and shakes her a little bit and says, see, I can do it too.
You weren't the only one.
13-10.
Beautiful serve.
Excited to see these hot dogs in action tomorrow night from the football field. Quarterback Doug Wood, wide receiver Quincy Perry, a few of the names that we'll call tomorrow night. 13-11. Coach Rushing going to take a timeout, having a conversation with her Lady Hot Dogs.
Very interesting. Every time Claire Eckenbarger has stepped back to that service line, has given the Gophers a push and several points in a row.
I don't know if Coach Stacy Swan was a little hard on Hailey Wilson earlier, but during that timeout, she walked right to her and gave her a hug. Maybe to say, hey, I apologize for earlier. Way to make up for it.
Way to listen and do better this time. So,
for these hot dogs, we got a few broadcasts headed your way before the end of their season. We told you about next Tuesday night with Clinton Central in one of our mental health games, but we'll also be back here October 4th for our last regular season volleyball match, that one against Crawfordsville. Sagamore Conference matchup.
Crazy to think the season's starting to get close to wrapping up already.
Wind down. I'll tell you, when you work in the sports field or you coach or you play or you're a parent, it's amazing how fast the year goes. Because you're like, hey, it's week 1 football. I can't believe it's here already. And all of a sudden you're going, it's week 5 football. I can't believe it's here already. Or we got 2 weeks left till sectionals for volleyball. I can't believe it's here already.
Yeah, sometimes it feels really long, but it really does go fast. And, you know, volleyball to me always seems like it goes exceptionally fast because you play almost every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Sure.
So, like with football, it's, once a week for, most of the time. But with volleyball, there's so many matches that it just keeps you going all the time. And I don't think people realize. I mean, I know football's super physical because of the hitting and the abuse your body takes. But volleyball, there are so many matches. Really, no other sport do you play every Tuesday, Thursday, and then almost every Saturday a tournament where you play 3 or 4 matches. Really, no other sport is like that. And so it does seem to go really fast, but you're ready for sectional by sectional time when you're a player and a coach.
Little gamesmanship happening right now down on the floor. I'm not sure what all the discussions are about, but I saw Sydney Swan have a conversation with both officials. I've seen the official come over and have a conversation with Coach Rushton. And we get back to live action, 13-12.
That wasn't a pretty serve, but Claire Eckenbarger finding a way to get it down on the service line for the Gophers. She has been the spark they have needed in Game 3 and Game 4.
Claire hits the top of the net again here. Pillion able to make a play on this one. Set middle, Caitlin Beck. Put a little too much on that one. Sails long, 14-12 your score. Eckenbarger comes out. Avon Wilson comes back in. And it'll be Pillion at the service line now for Frankfort. Swan winds up, hammers at home, point for the Gophers. Well, that first pass is just so important because when you get a great pass to your setter and they can set your hitters right where they want it.
Makes all the difference.
Swan to serve now. Little side rotation.
I think it's been very interesting. Sydney Swan has been very quiet, really, in Game 2, 3, and so far in Game 4. For her, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Still playing fantastic. But for her, very quiet.
Yeah, it feels like we haven't called her name lately for a play on the floor. It's been more about the conversations with the officials, being the captain in that role. It's been a lot of other names mentioned, and honestly, that kind of bodes well for the Gophers if you can call out more names than just hers.
I was just about ready to say that. I don't know that I think that's a bad thing. If they can find ways to win without it being the Sydney Swan show, that is a positive for them in the long run.
15-14. Starrett got a point for the Hot Dogs. Beck gets a point there for the Gophers. Stillwell checks in to serve. Well, it's been a back-and-forth battle here in Game 4. It's been a back-and-forth night.
Yeah, I think if I'm Coach Swan, I might find a way to get Sydney Swan a little bit of a rest on the back row.
Brooklyn Perry, the freshman, goes up against the senior and Swan and gets the block.
Beautiful block. We talked about that earlier. How many blocks would she have if she had all her matches in?
Yeah, she missed 24 sets out in that concussion protocol and still leads the team in blocks. That's pretty darn impressive.
Yep.
Nice serve here from the freshman as well.
Especially as an undersized middle.
Starrett, block there from Beck.
Beautiful block coverage by Smith.
And there's Swan with the vision. We hadn't called her name in a minute for an offensive play, and there it was.
Yeah, and they're a smart play. You just got stuff block the last time you went up to hit. Get you one back in bounds, Go up there, play it safe a little bit, get one in bounds, swing away in a couple minutes.
Starrett tries to take a page out of that book there and tips it across. And there's Swan again. Just missed time on the block there at the net from Jalen Smith. But again, you're expecting Swan to swing hard, and she kind of hangs in the air with you.
Yeah, and if you're Emma Pillion, you've got to get outside of your block. You cannot hide behind your block like that. And as soon as we say Sydney Swan's been quiet, she gets 2 kills and a stuffed block. So we should have maybe, for the Gophers' sake, said she'd been too quiet like half a game ago. I don't know.
I can't do that because then they would say I was jinxing Frankfort again.
Yeah, and then Kia would be mad at you for sure. Yeah.
One thing I will say is we have outstanding coaches in the county. And I mean that because over the years of emailing coaches, and I won't mention names, some will not give you information at all. And then others, like the ones we have in the county, they'll give me whatever I want when I ask in the email. And It's so great to get an insight into the program, not just what these girls do on game night, but what they're doing in practice, how they're doing in the classroom. All those things are great.
Absolutely, and it hasn't always been that way. And, Clinton Central with a new coach this year, and, she's building a program, and she'll do a good job there. I hope people give her a chance to build a program. I hope she stays long enough to build a program. She's got the knowledge base. She's got the personality to do it. If people give her the chance and she stays long enough, she can build a program there. And, Clinton Central, historically a good volleyball school. So I think all the coaches we have in place, if they stay, we've got some good volleyball teams coming through in the next few years.
Thought the Gophers had the point there, and now they rule it in favor of the Hot Dogs.
Yeah, they call them over on the block, saying that the setter didn't have the chance to set that second ball. That you have to credit to Jalen Smith. She really probably didn't have a lot of chance to play that ball, but she went up like she was going to. And if you go up with that effort like you're going to set and those blockers come over, they're going to call it every time. So you have to give Jalen Smith the credit for that. Once again, heads up play for a freshman setter.
So if it has not been hit twice, you can't play it if it's still on the other side of the net. Is that
correct?
What you mean?
If somebody's going up to hit, like she was going up, like she was going to set it, they can't come over and get that ball from you.
Okay. Thank you for the clarity.
Yes.
20-18, a huge point in this game as Frankfort's able to take a 2-point lead now with help from that call. Smith, quick set. Oh, good scramble by the Gophers.
Nice set by Grace Good.
And Swan again with that vision. Just sets it across.
I love Grace Good's energy there. Not only did she get that ball up, but then the excitement. Like, Prairie seemed a little flat tonight, and Grace Good with the energy. I love that there.
Zing. That one hit the top of the net and never got back over. 20-20 now, all tied up. Boy, this has been entertaining tonight, to say the least. Both of these teams, you hate to see anybody lose at this point, to be honest with you.
You do.
That one right down the line and in, perfectly placed serve. And Coach Rushton going to take a timeout. Good timeout here from Coach Kia Rushton. See if she can rally the troops. I think Sydney heard you say that she'd been quiet because she's been loud the last 8 or 9 points.
I think she did. I think she did. Didn't really mean to make her mad, but, you know.
Excited for.
Like I said, I don't think it's a bad thing for Clinton Prairie. They need other people to step up. You know, being a one-dimensional team is not good. And I think that's what Frankfort has shown tonight, that they aren't one-dimensional. You know, I think they've had, Jalen Smith has played well tonight. I want to talk about Morgan Harrington. Her defense tonight, fantastic.
Yeah, she's been good.
She has. This is the best I've seen her play. Absolutely all over the place. She really, that's one of those things like people don't notice great defense, but she has done an amazing job on that back row, and she really has led a lot of their rallies by just digging that ball up and keep taking it at the Gophers till they make some unforced errors.
Miss hit there from McAtee. 22-20 now. The crucial point in the game here. Gophers up 2-1. They could steal game 4 here. That one just a little long. It would end tonight's match.
That really benefited the Hot Dogs because that's that rotation we talk about every time where they struggle on offense. So that really benefited the Hot Dogs.
We'll see a little bit different here where you've got Eckenbarger and Grace Good in the game now. Even though Swan's in that back row, we'll see how the Gophers play here. And a great serve. Starrett ties it up at 22. Or excuse me, Thomas.
Like to see that from your sophomore. Once again, youth.
The jump serve, good on the set. Swan swings around the block of Perry. Stevenson unable to make a play on it. Gophers take the lead by 1. 2 points away from ending this match here tonight. Eckenbarger at the service line. Good dig by Thomas.
And if you're the Gophers, that's who you want on the service line.
Starrett, big swing. Swan hits the floor. Gophers can't get there. All knotted up at 23.
Good job by Frankfort getting her off the service line, tying that game up.
Play to 25, but you've got to win by 2. What's the highest scoring match you can remember ever seeing?
45-43, I believe.
That's almost 2 whole matches.
Yeah.
Or 2 whole games, excuse me.
Is that when I was coaching, and it was at a tourney when I was coaching at Clinton Prairie. It was a long time.
Match point. Abby Swan back to serve here for the Gophers. Katie Marcinko checked in for Grace Good. Hot Dogs got to get a side out here. We're going to send it across. Clinton Prairie with a free ball opportunity.
Out.
Too long from Beck. And we're all tied up at 24.
Doesn't get much more exciting than this.
Morgan Harrington checks back in for the Hot Dogs, one of those sensational sophomores. Or sophomores, like the legendary Jerry Baker would say. That's probably how we should all say it, to be honest with you. There is another O in there. Perry sends it across. Again, got to win by 2. Starrett, big swing. Swan on the dig. What effort.
What defense by the Hot Dogs.
Nobody wanted to lose this point right here.
4 hits.
Gophers had some blockers in the area. 24-25 now. Gophers match point here again. They'll bring in Julia Stillwell. And what's fun is we even have the battle of the student sections going on down here right now.
We do.
The Gophers are outnumbered quite a bit. But they're still trying to make some noise here in Case Arena. Starrett got the point for the Hot Dogs, and that's what you do. Oh, wait a minute.
Touch. For sure a touch. For sure a touch.
I would say the Gophers definitely got a hand on it.
For sure a touch. Ball
Now, he was calling it out as if it went on the opposite side of the
antenna, but it was a definite touch.
Now, we've seen in these situations before where they're unsure, they'll replay the point. But this should most definitely be 25 all. And I think that's what he's trying to tell Coach Kia Rushton is that
then
it went on the opposite side of the antenna because she's asking how.
This is.
And they ruled it for Gophers.
You hate to see that. Absolutely hate to see that.
26-24. Clinton Prairie steals one here at the end. And
and I hate to say it, but they did steal it.
Yeah,
you hate to see that.
Again, in an era where they need officials, you hate to be too critical of the officials, but I feel like that one was probably missed. Again, we don't have the benefit of the replay, but that's the explanation. I read the lips. He said they touched it, but it went on the opposite side of the antenna, which would tell you that they were on the wrong side of the net, maybe?
I just don't, like you said, don't have the advantage of the replay, but 2 line judges called it a touch and not out. If you're a line judge and a ball goes outside of the antenna, you call it out. You don't call it a touch, you call it out.
Right.
2 line judges called a touch, the down official called a touch. So 3 people called it one thing, the up official called it the other. But he does have the final say, and he overruled the other 3.
Unfortunately, it kind of mars the end of what was a great broadcast tonight. Again, hats off to our Hot Dog TV crew. Thanks, Laura, for joining me on the broadcast. A hard-fought match tonight between the Gophers and the Hot Dogs. Clinton Prairie will improve to 11-10 on the season. The Hot Dogs will fall to 10-12. But if you're Coach Kia Rushton, the message in the locker room right now has got to be, you guys played fantastic tonight. Don't let the end of the game take anything away from the effort that was displayed from a young team.
Absolutely. I do think, honestly, the walk away at the end of the night is this was a win for the Hot Dogs. I mean, maybe not on the scoreboard, but the Hot Dogs outplayed the Gophers tonight most of the night.
Yeah.
And that the score didn't necessarily say that at the end of the night, but overall, point for point, the Hot Dogs outplayed the Gophers, and they certainly are the most improved team out there, and they have so much to build on, and Kia Rushton has just done an excellent job with this team.
That's going to do it for tonight's broadcast. Again, join us tomorrow night. We've got Western Boone and Frankfort for football here on the network. And next Tuesday, we'll be back here at Frankfort High School, Clinton Central, versus these Frankfort Hot Dogs. For Laura Archibald, I'm Sean Walker, and all the students here from Hot Dog TV, we appreciate you tuning in. We hope you will join us next time.
Hi there, I'm Jake Query.
And I'm Derek Schultz.
And we do Query and Schultz on ISC Sports Network. And Derek, unlike Ted Lasso, we have a 3rd season.
That's right. Season number 3 right now, ISCSportsNetwork.com. You can see episodes on Comcast 81 as well, Mondays at 7:30. I'm talking about our show, Jake, this beloved show that people tune into every single week. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, so many ways to watch Query and Schultz every Monday, 7:30. Tune in and hang out with us.
And you don't have to be a goldfish. You'll remember everything we say.
The offensive source in this quarter. Brady,
hello, has the first
down.
Smith tracks it down. Shot at the buzzer. Sideline. He cuts it back. Can he get to the goal line?
Stankham looks for his man and fell from the seat of his pants. Makes the grab. Johnson gets by that first wave. Bounces it outside. Johnson into the end zone. Touchdown, Lawrence Central.